حياكم الله جميعا، كل من باسمه، ومشكورين على الدعم والمشاركة. أول شيء أحب أمسيكم بالخير والكلام، لأنه راح يتحول بعد شوية باللغة الإنجليزية والعربي، فالحين نرحب فيكم في لغتنا. يا هلا ومرحبا في الجميع، وأهلا وسهلا ومرحبا في فقرتنا اليوم اللي هو لايف مع بطل بريطانيا الأخير. طبعا نفس ما انتم عارفين ان اخر معرض في الجمعيه البريطانيه كان في 2019. اليوم لقائنا راح يكون مع بطلنا. هي عائله ماكوفن مكونه من الاب والام والابن جو، عشان نكون واضحين. فهم الثلاثه شركاء في الطيور، وهم ثلاثتهم يديرون الطيور ويشاركون بالمسابقات بشكل جماعي. فهذا لقائنا اليوم راح يكون مع جو ماكوفن. First of all, I'd like to welcome. It's very pleasure to have you here today with us, and it's very honor to me actually to invite the Budgerigar champion, last champion, one of the Mcgovern partners, which is Joe. طبعا ارحب فيكم يا شباب، وان شاء الله راح نبدا بفقره الاسئله. First of all, they all welcome Joe Mcgovern today, and they are looking forward to have this live with you actually. So first of all, you are a champion breeder, and you show every year in the normally way, not right now. Your birds in many show, then move them to the BS, the Budgerigar Society show. So can you tell us how many shows you do every year normally?
Well, we like to start preparing the birds around May, and the first show is in the first week in July. And then we have a show every weekend for 6 weekends. So we try and do 6 shows during the summer, championship shows. Then the birds go back in the flight, and then we get them back out for the BS Club show, and obviously the new show called Gwynedd, which I think Rob is online, so he'll be happy as he's smiling away. I know that's a very new show, but it's part of the roster that we like to take on board with the show birds.
Yes. So after this 6 shows, you decide which bird will go to the BS and which bird will stay at home.
Well, we still prepare the same amount of birds. We do show a lot of birds. We probably take maybe 40 birds per show. And the show team in preparation is probably 60 to 65. And obviously they all can't go because you don't have a big enough car. But so it's normally we take around 40 birds to each show.
Okay, so if you have like a 40 show bird every year, how many you breed every year?
Well, with the 40 in the show team, once they finish the BS Club show, they are rested for around 2-3 weeks, maybe 4, and they go into they are the breeding team. I'd say out of the 65, we will probably use 60 of them that will go into breeding team, and the breeding season will last until May, end of April, start of May. We try and break up all the birds, and we tend to breed anywhere between 450 to 600. Well, we bred 680 in 2021. So it was a lot that was the most we've ever bred. This year we're up to 446. So it's not been a great year. We've lost a lot of babies. We've had a few issues here and there, but we've seemed to have rectified the problem now. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be another very good season.
So and how many breeding cages do you use, or how many pairs are you using?
Well, we start with 94 breeding cages. but then that slowly drops down to maybe 85. So that's in full flow until maybe March, April, and then we slow down a bit by bit. So when May comes, we can put the breeding, the show team, where the breeding teams, where there's like a row of cages across the back. I'd love to show you, but the signal is not very good. So yeah, it's 94 to start, and probably we finish as quick as we can towards May.
Yeah. So the 94 pairs, each pair should be having the size, the quality to breed any show bird, right? Or there is some for maybe selling issue, there is some for breeding some champions.
Yes, it's a good question, because we obviously always want to breed the show birds, and what we do at here is we look for love pairs in the flight. Obviously, the best birds we like to select with the best birds. Hopefully, they breed the show birds. But if we see a love pair in the flight, they 90% of the time go down as a breeding pair, because the success rate is 10 times better than a pair that you would just create yourself. Does that make sense? And we seem to get a lot better results in doing that.
So about these, if you let them to choose each other as a loving pair, you will not maybe avoid some faults, or maybe you will focus on something you need to improve if they are just a love pairs.
Yes. So a love pair, say we have 94 breeding pairs, I would say 40 of them cages are love pairs. And that's where the numbers have become very high. Where over 2 rounds you get 8 to 12 chicks. It seems you seem to have better success. Whereas as we pair a bird a show bird to a show bird to try and reproduce a show bird, the success rate is not always the same. But some of them are, and if they are successful one year, they will go again the very same year. We don't split them up. They are a love pair for life, basically, or if they do well.
So, the 600, nowadays, after the COVID and all these issues, 600 is a very big amount of birds. So, Joe Mcgovern or the Mcgovern family, what they normally do, is it more autocross? Is it more selling issues? Is it more? So if you choose like 100 as a show bird, so you will have another 400 or 300 just extra.
Yes. Okay. Well, what we like to do is we keep around 150 young hens. Around 120 young cocks. And the breeding team from that year that have bred well. And then I think you've been to our place. We have a big setup of one aviary is mainly sail flights, and there's 3 large flights with sail birds in. It's very low. It's very low at the moment, in all honesty, because we've had a lot of customers here and there. So there's a lot of space. We don't get very crowded. But at the start of COVID, or middle of COVID, should I say, the sail flight was very, very full. We were very worried in what we were going to do, and Walkers, the transport company, they were closed, so we couldn't sell any birds by transport. So, but luckily, obviously, restrictions laid off, and birds were then selling, and now we're very low again now. So it's time to start breeding some more birds.
So, you know, like now here in our area, is many people worried about selling issues and the market of the bird. You know, as you are expert, so you are breeding for many years as a family. So you had maybe a low season selling, you know, year. One season is high, one season is low. So how you can imagine, how you can deal with the low season marketing here?
Yeah, it's a good question, because obviously if we want to keep 150 young hens and 120 young cocks, there's 280 birds out of the 440 that we've bred.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always. Luckily, we always get to the numbers that we kind of require to keep things flowing. It's lucky in a sense that happens, but we have very strict regimes in the feeding program, the cleaning program. All these things add up to very successful breeding. If you put the hard work in, you're going to get good results. And me, my dad, my mum, and we also hire a cleaner that he comes once a weekend. He helps cleaning, which it helps in this day and age. So if we have clean aviaries, we have success.
Yeah. So what you mean is you don't care much about the amount of the money of the bird. Sometimes if you have the large number, so you just send.
Yeah, well, money isn't part of why we do it, because fortunately enough, my father and my mum set up a very long-standing business, which is still running today, which is 37 years. So that is our main income. We don't need the birds for income. Yeah. We're very fortunate that we've got to. Well, my dad started when he was young. He's got us to a standard that people recognise us around the world and want our birds. So it's very fortunate that we can keep this many birds. But when we sell the birds, they pay for themselves. They pay for their own food. All the money that we make from the birds pays for themselves.
As a champion or holding the record of the BS as a champion for 3 years, and is it the feather that you are dealing with, which is letting the bird staying for 3 years as a champion, or is it the line that you're using? So is it your work, or is it just the bird's pedigree or line?
It goes back for a very long time. My dad has bought birds from all the top breeders across the UK in his early days, but then in 1991 he found Joe Mann's, and he visited Joe Mann's for 15 years straight. Every year he would save his money from work, and then he would visit October time every single year for 15 years. And then we all know, if everyone is long time in hobby, that Joe Mann's was the best breeder in the world in his heyday. Now we would say maybe Daniel Lutoff is the best in the world, but Joe Mann was the best in his day. And my dad, that's where he found major success, but also success from the early years of other breeders that not maybe everyone would hear of. So I'd say Joe Mann was where we can't. Well, my father wanted to recreate the English bird into what Joe was breeding, so that's where the success comes from, I would say.
So if we are talking now about Joe Mannes and all the top world breeders, is it, as you know, it's not easy to have quality birds or quality show birds from any breeders, especially from maybe Germany or Europe, or if you are talking about the United Kingdom. So what do you how do you thought your father took some quality birds to improve his stud?
Yes, so that's a good question. People these days get very frustrated that they can't buy these super show birds from the best breeders in the world, because when we get it here, people want to buy our best birds, but if we sell them birds, then we are not going to produce them birds again, which is it's part of the parcel. So what we have to do is we buy Joe Mann's or Daniel Lutoff's, whichever birds, we buy their maybe middle class birds, and we put them to our own best birds, or we buy birds off one exhibitor, and then we buy other birds off another exhibitor and put them together, and then you are then breeding birds of better quality. If you can't afford, then you buy low end and you work hard of trying to breed. You only have to breed one good one, and then you can lead to very long success. But it's having the patience, maybe many years, for this one bird to come along. Then you then are on the right path.
What you said about that the quality bird it's not easy to get it or not easy to breed it. So in other way, the hit of any breeder is to breed just to one good bird. Then after this good bird, having all stud from this line, or having many good birds and splitting all the quality in the stud.
Yes, you don't want to. We try and avoid inbreeding. So say if you have one super bird and you want to breed with him, you maybe put him across 3 hens that aren't related. So then if they breed good birds, then you have 3 lines running straight away, which is it's easier said than done, but it's a process my father started many years ago. He brought birds from Terry Pilkington, Eric Lane, and he paired them 2 studs together, and he created his own line. But then it was that line paired to another line, and you keep breeding across. We never inbreed because we think it leads to infertility.
So you mean that having the same line is affecting the fertility?
Yes. Joe Mans taught us this, taught my dad this many years ago, and Joe Mans was breeding 1,000 birds every year for 20 years. He was very successful. So
like before 10 years, the Euro bird directions and feather took the attentions, especially on the social media, and everyone called that Euro birds is the future, and maybe the English type of bird are a little bit, having the style. So, but nowadays we have, what we can see is most of the birds are mixing between these two. So having this, the direction and having the English body and style. What has Joe thought about that?
Well, we've bought birds off Daniel Lutoff very recently. So if you're saying European birds, his birds, they weren't his best birds, but they are still quality budgies you'd be happy to buy. And them mixing at the moment, the babies look fantastic. There's the element of risk towards mixing these 2 feathers together, that you develop long tail, which is becoming a little bit more common these days in the show bench, where the judges are disqualifying budgies off the show bench, and they say this is from the Europeans mixing with the English feather. But ultimately, we are all trying to breed bigger and better birds, and it's the way of life. If you breed 2 big birds together, you're going to breed an even bigger bird, and they keep developing, and the only way they can grow is to grow their feather. So we then get more feather problems, is in cysts. Birds won't be able to fly. The long tail. It's happening too quick. Whereas I think people now, like Daniel himself, he's realizing, even ourselves, when we pair big birds to big birds, it's not good. You don't get the best results. You might want that one super bird, but the chances of it breeding is not very high. So we like to pair medium feather birds to medium feather birds, or buff birds to low feathered birds. We never pair buff to buff, because we think that's the path to long tail, which fortunately we we don't breed long tail, although the odd one pops out, but that was from our red eye line, which is European based. But we quickly get rid of that, and we try and not use them birds again. So people need to be aware of this long tail. If they keep breeding with it, they're going to have long tail. You need to be clever with how you pair the birds.
Yes. Actually, you jumped to another question. My next question about the longer flight. So as like a rare variety champion as well. So we've seen that Mcgovern family is breeding a quality of normals as the blues and the grays and all these colors, and the mutations such as the Enos and the clear bodies. How to improve your clear bodies and Enos? Is it from the normals, or you use them together?
Yeah, well, we quickly learned that the sex linkage between the Eno and the Texas clear body, it worked very well, because we wanted to breed more clear body and we wanted to breed more red eye. So when you pair them two birds together, you get clear body and albino. It's simple fact. And then when you breed the clear body cocks, they are all split Eno. This is how we started. We bought a dark green from Joe Mann's, which was split Texas clear body. We paired it to our best sky blue hen. We couldn't prove that it was split clear body, but 3 clear body hens came from that nest. And then we paired all them 3 hens to Enos, and then we have many clear body and many albino in the flight now.
And when you're looking forward to improve them, do you use them to each other, or do you put them to the normals?
Well, luckily enough, our Enos have been very strong for many years, and they have developed as a better budgie, because we used to use them to opaline. That has been from the very, very start. When we started the Enos, we paired them to opaline all the time. Then we get splits and then normals, Enos as well. So they were always a very high standard. So when we bring a new variety on board, like clear body, which was 6 years ago in 2015, they were paired to very good standard of Eno, and then the quality came very, very quickly, which was very fortunate. But our Enos were very strong at that time. So now we have many albino, many Texas clear body. We have now put the clear bodies into normals this season. That is the plan, to then get some normals that will be split clear bodies, which is better. And then the Enos have gone to the Enos, so we shall breed more Enos as well. Hopefully, that is the plan.
So how many Enos and clear bodies do you pair every
year? Well, currently we've just started pairing up in the past week. We've paired 9 Enos together, 9 pairs of Enos. We haven't paired any clear bodies up as of yet, but we will be pairing them up in the next week or 2 weeks or so. So all in all, with clear bodies and Enos, we could have maybe 20 to 25 pairs. So we're finding they are very popular across the world now. When we have a phone call in regards to buying birds, it's Eno or clear body. People aren't interested in normal.
It's taking the attention, actually, these mutations, and many people all over the world are like them, you know. So all the target of breeders are the Enos and the clear bodies.
Yes.
So
so that's our goal this year. We want to breed as many as we can, because we don't like upsetting people that say we have no for sale. We want to help people, and people want to improve the Enos and the clear bodies, so we try and breed more to help them, and that's how budgies work. the end of the